ABC News investigation into one of the CIA's most closely guarded secrets. For the first time, we're getting a look at what many call a torture prison, where the U.S. government has conducted some of the most rigorous interrogation techniques on top al-Qaeda suspects. Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, has been following this for us. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Robin. Well, despite its best efforts, the CIA has not been able to keep these secret prisons secret. And our ABC News investigative team was able to track down and for the first time find one of the actual sites 12 miles outside the capital of Lithuania in Vilnius.
The CIA built its secret prison inside a huge horse barn at a one-time riding academy, a building inside a building to keep it all secret, according to officials. Where wealthy Lithuanians once rode show horses and sipped drinks at a cafe, as seen in these photos from a website, CIA officers used harsh tactics to interrogate as many as 8 suspected high-value al-Qaeda figures.
The activities in that prison were illegal. They included various forms of torture, including sleep deprivation, forced standing, painful stress positions.
It's not known which suspected al-Qaeda figures were in Lithuania, but 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was moved out of the CIA secret prison in Poland just before the Lithuanian facility was opened. Neighbors say they always wondered why so many Americans were here and why so many cars came and went in the middle of the night. For many of the residents of this former Soviet state, it's all too reminiscent of the KGB's secret prisons.
I wouldn't be proud of this fact, being a Lithuanian.
Documents provided to ABC News by Lithuanian officials show the paper trail of what they call the CIA front company that bought the facility, Elite LLC, registered in downtown Washington, D.C. The address led us to a firm whose business is to incorporate companies of all kinds, and they said they had no idea they were helping the CIA.
We had no relationship whatsoever.
The CIA took over the Vilnius Riding Academy in March 2004, but moved its prisoners out a year and a half later to Guantanamo. The building is now owned by the Lithuanian Intelligence Service, which refused to let us past its heavy security gates.
The CIA says that program has ended, and it does not discuss where or where not any of its secret facilities might have been. But that silence has left the current Lithuanian government holding the bag, as the president and the parliament of the country are now demanding investigations and prosecutions of anyone, including Americans, who was involved with that one-time riding academy.
Including Americans.
Including Americans, if they can find them.
All right. As always, thank you for your investigation, Brian. Appreciate it.
Incidentally, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and the 4 other terror suspects were told last weekend that their trial will be in New York. Asked about their reaction, the commander at Guantanamo Bay said they were stoic. They did not seem surprised. Next, the story of secret prisons overseas being used by the CIA for its harsh interrogation of terror suspects. Those interrogation techniques are now being investigated by the Justice Department. As we first reported, the prisons were in Romania, Poland, and Lithuania. But none of the actual sites has ever been seen until now. Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, is here. Brian?
Charlie, we found one of the CIA's black sites in Lithuania, a former Soviet state that suffered the abuses of the KGB and their secret prisons. Many Lithuanians are outraged to learn the CIA was permitted to operate its secret prisons on their land.
In order to keep it secret, the CIA built its prison inside this huge horse barn, a building within a building, according to current Lithuanian and former U.S. government officials. Where wealthy Lithuanians once rode show horses and sipped drinks at a cafe, as seen on these pictures taken from a website, CIA officers used harsh tactics to interrogate as many as 8 suspected high-value al-Qaeda figures.
The activities in that prison were illegal. They included various forms of torture, including sleep deprivation, forced standing, painful stress positions.
It's not known which of the suspected terrorists was in Lithuania, but 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was moved out of his secret CIA prison in Poland just before the Lithuanian facility was opened. Lithuania agreed to allow the CIA prison after President Bush visited the country in 2002, and the U.S. pledged support for Lithuania's efforts to join NATO.
The new members of NATO were so grateful for the U.S. role in getting them into that organization that they would do anything the United States asked for during that period.
Documents provided to ABC News by Lithuanian officials show the paper trail of what they call the CIA front company that bought the facility, Elite LLC, registered in Washington, D.C., and supposedly owned by another company in Panama. The CIA took over the Vilnius Writing Academy in March 2004, the same month Lithuania formally joined NATO. The CIA moved out of the stables after only a year and a half because of news reports in the Washington Post about the secret prisons, even though they did not name Lithuania. The building is now owned by the Lithuanian Intelligence Service.
The CIA says the program has ended, and it does not discuss where or where not any of its secret facilities might have been. But that silence has left the current Lithuanian government holding the bag, as the president and the parliament are now demanding investigations and prosecutions of anyone, including Americans, who was involved at the one-time Writing Academy. Charlie.
Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross. Thanks.
This quiet, bright countryside around the capital of Lithuania hides a dark secret. It's here, about 20 minutes' drive south of Vilnius, that some believe was the location of a secret prison where the CIA brought terror suspects to be tortured. According to information given to ABC News by CIA sources, a so-called black site prison existed on the outskirts of Vilnius for more than a year, until 2005. Flight logs show CIA planes regularly flew in and out of Vilnius during that time. And this is a disused Soviet army base, miles from the nearest house, the perfect cover. This ex-Soviet base is in the heart of Lithuania's fifth largest forest, about 40 kilometers south of Vilnius. Just 30 kilometers from Vilnius International Airport, somewhere in there it's also got its own airstrip. It's quiet, undisturbed, and it's surrounded by the ultimate deterrent to inquisitive journalists, unexploded bombs. This isn't the first time Lithuania's been implicated in the US's extraordinary rendition program. At a Council of Europe debate in 2005, it was named, along with Poland and Romania, as the host of an illegal prison, but managed to escape direct accusation.
The question now is to have the list of the people who have been detained in Lithuania, and probably there have been torture, interrogation, illegal interrogation, and very serious violation of human rights there. That means there are political and penal responsibilities.
Down at Vilnius City Hall, opposition politician Algirdas Paleskis says Lithuania's foreign policy in the last 20 years makes a CIA prison camp highly likely.
Lithuania always acted and still acts as a satellite of the United States in Europe. If one day the truth would be disclosed with the facts, that the argument would be, you know, we have our privileged relations with the United States, we have to pay for it, and the price for our security, NATO security, and Article 5 security guarantees, the price is to send troops to Afghanistan, to send troops to Iraq, and to take possible prisoners.
Lithuania's government's denying the allegations and has issued this unequivocal statement.
The Lithuanian Foreign Ministry denies any ungrounded assumptions or rumors about secret CIA prisons in the country.
On the streets of Vilnius, people have heard the media allegations that up to 8 terror suspects may have been held and tortured in their country, but there's doubt, outright denial and disbelief. Back outside the city, it seems possible to hide anything. And despite the US's insistence on putting the past behind us, the Lithuanian Parliament's announced it'll launch an investigation into the allegations, and the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe is doing the same. Laura Emmett, RT, outside Vilnius, Lithuania.